Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at 10 PlayStation 2 games that really take us back to the good old days, for better or worse. Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Grand Theft Auto: San Andreas.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Some players might feel more nostalgic towards the revolutionary GTA 3, others might value Vice City a little bit more, but for us, San Andreas is the one we keep coming back to.
I'll have two number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7.
In addition to exceptional story and humor, San Andreas had an incredible soundtrack and gave players various activities to sink their time into and turn the Grove Street gang into a formidable force. Modern players may not take too kindly to the mindless graffiti and trips to the gym for limited workout sessions, but for those of us who grew up on PS2, it's a wonderful time capsule and an equally wonderful time waster. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Much of Pro Skater 3's nostalgia can be tied to its music, just as GTA San Andreas can. Every single Pro Skater had some tasty jams that introduced us to bands we hadn't heard of at the time, and they all fit in with the attitude of the game. Pro Skater 3 was more special than just the music though. All those sessions spent on maps like Foundry, Cruise Ship, and Warehouse created a place of familiarity for us despite them being virtual. It's honestly no wonder why folks are amped about the 3 and 4 remake. Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X was truly a special game in a handful of ways. For starters, this was the first game in the franchise that was made specifically for the PlayStation 2, and it showcased a major leap in graphics from PS1 to PS2. Second, it had a much different feel to it than the installments we saw on PS1. There was sort of a happy medium between fantasy and industrial future between the worlds, the creatures, and the character designs. And while we have seen several new mainline entries since 2001, none of them have matched the same lighthearted tone as Final Fantasy X, which has made it stand out even more as time has marched forward. The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Cola. Must get Buzz Cola.
For those of us who grew up with parents who knew the ESRB a little too well, such as yours truly, The Simpsons Hit and Run was our own special slice of GTA-style open-world gameplay. Although the game was just 3 large maps recycled over the course of 7 short chapters, there was a lot here that made the game more special than some gave it credit for.
Imagine that, scared of some harmless nuclear waste. So very harmless.
Even though many of the missions devolved into racing and collecting things, Hit and Run kept it fresh by giving us shortcuts, fun cheat codes, and a litany of unique vehicles to unlock. It basically leaned into the driving way more than GTA ever did, and it made it so much fun that it led to us sometimes driving around Springfield and ramming into cars just for giggles.
I just waxed an undercoated.
That's what you get for expecting me to do the job for which I am paid.
Ratchet and Clank, up your arsenal.
These must be the Galactic Rangers.
Hey, look, it's a new sergeant.
Huh?
Hey, Sergeant, you can have my gun. There's too many of them. We're all gonna die.
Speaking of games meant to be played for giggles, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal was a game that should never have been able to function on a console like the PlayStation 2. With so many objects, characters, and particle effects being on screen at once, frame drops were pretty common in Up Your Arsenal. although this wasn't something seen as a problem, but rather a comedic edge to the game at the time.
My daughter tells me you're a man who's good with his hands, Ratchet.
Sir, I swear I never...
The city's laser shield went down during the attack.
Obviously, the PS2 wasn't going to suddenly ignite from our in-game destruction, but it was fun to see just how nutty we could get before the console started chugging. Unfortunately, games are just a little too well optimized these days to have that sort of fun anymore. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Before the greedy EA version reared its ugly head in 2017, we had this magnificent shooter that, to this day, reminds us of a time when Star Wars wasn't completely in the dumps all the time. Even though Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones were awful, we had just gotten Revenge of the Sith on top of tons and tons of unique games set within the Star Wars universe. Battlefront 2 kind of felt like the pinnacle of everything, as both the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy were working together to make something truly special. That level of nostalgia in the online multiplayer is why so many of us got excited about the classic collection remasters, and why the hatred was so volatile at launch when it released in such a horrible state. Kingdom Hearts. The nostalgia for Kingdom Hearts is almost similar to why we look back on Final Fantasy X so fondly. While there are struggles within Sora about the thought of being alone and never seeing his friends again, Kingdom Hearts was much more happy-go-lucky than most of Square Enix's previous games. Playing the first game also harkens back to a time when the Kingdom Hearts lore wasn't all over the place with its light and dark and hearts and emotions, and we gotta keep the light in so that the dark is staying out, and you get the whole picture. But above all, it was also just the weirdest game we had seen at the time in the best ways possible. Really, who could have predicted that the company behind Final Fantasy was going to make a game with Disney characters, and that Donald Duck would trump Sephiroth in being the most powerful character in the universe? Who would have seen that coming? Twisted Metal Black. After Twisted Metal 3, Twisted Metal 4, and Twisted Metal Small Brawl nearly killed the franchise with their annoyingly zany personalities, Twisted Metal Black was a welcoming refresh for those of us who loved the first two games. The darker, more horrific tone was admittedly something we didn't think would be possible for a vehicular combat game to pull off, and that's kind of why we cherish Black to this day. It felt like series co-creator David Jaffe and his team were always experimenting with something that nobody else was doing on the market, and Black kind of embodied that level of thinking with its story, level design, and music. And so the intense attitude has been forever ingrained in our minds. Katamari Damacy. While we're on the subject of games that were doing things nobody else was doing, Katamari Damacy was one of the most special hidden gems the PS2 had ever seen. Sure, we had already seen calm and cozy games like Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon, but Katamari invoked the same level of zen and total concentration as Tetris did. Make your Katamari a specific size before the time runs out, and let the music maintain your flow. No other game was shooting for this vibe back then, and very, very few ever attempt to implement this kind of game feel today. It's kind of why the community keeps pestering Bandai Namco for a new game. And finally, God of War. Everything we had seen throughout the PS2's lifespan felt like it was leading up to God of War. This game was the sole reason why you needed a PS2. And to this day, it is unlike any other video game on the market. The sense of scale, the way the game felt cinematic without actually breaking away from the gameplay, the epic fights against colossal enemies like the Cyclops and Ares. This was everything. PlayStation and its fan base need it. Sure, some segments may not be viewed favorably among modern gamers, but overall, there are reasons why some Kratos fans shun the Nordic games and favor the Greek era. All you need to do is play the OG to see why.
And if I am able to do this, to kill a god, then the visions, they will end?
Complete this final task, and the past that consumes you will be forgiven.
Which PlayStation 2 game are you most nostalgic for? Did it make our list? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day.
Shit, now the truck's found us again.
Man, stop being so negative. Focus on the good news.
Such as?
We ain't dead, and your trigger finger still works, fool.